It is our At the Half segment. Welcome back to the UHSP Gymnasium. Assistant Sports Information Director Greg Tadish. Our At the Half guest today, none other than women's head coach Jeff Reis. I appreciate it. I know we've been rolling through a lot of your girls, so it's good to have you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
No problem. Glad to be here.
14-5. Just kind of give me the State of the Union address. We'll talk with Danny Brown coming up later. I'll ask him the same thing. Just kind of how you feel, how things sit right now coming into another conference match tonight.
We feel like the first time around, we went 8-2 the first time through the conference. We felt like we were one of those games get away. We should have probably been 9-1, maybe even considered to be 10-0. But 8-2 is probably the best start we've had in conference. So we feel good where we're at. We're not satisfied, but we feel good in the spot that we're in right now.
How do you like the relationship with the girls and the buy-in they kind of get from you? You kind of drive a hard line and expect a lot from them. How do they buy into that?
I think they do a good job. When I first took over, the expectations were a little different of the women's basketball program, and we've kind of raised the bar. And to be successful, you got to be willing to work a little bit harder. Sometimes practices aren't enjoyable, but we have goals as teams, and that's what I'm trying to do is push them to reach those goals that we set for ourselves.
I know you usually use kind of a core group of players. A usual starting five really hasn't changed much, but then you get a couple that come off the bench, like a Carson Morgan jumps right to my head. How integral are those type of players? A Grace Underhill, for example, that I know you have high hopes for and hasn't really gotten maybe as many moments to shine as they would like.
With our core starting lineup, they all do something specific, and they have roles that they're really good at, and they try to do exactly what they're supposed to do. And then when we make changes, Carson and Grace, they do different things than what the person that is in the starting lineup does. And so when things are going a certain way and we need to make a change, we usually go to one of them two or Sammy off the bench, depending on matchups and stuff. So most of our substitution is based on matchups and how the game's going. If we're doing well and we need to be defensively, we're going to go one way. If we need someone to knock down a shot, we're going to look at something else. So our subbing is all based on how the game really gets going.
I know Sammy's injury was early with the eye injury to Sam Casting. How are you? Is your group health wise just generically right now?
Yeah, we're almost into February. As you get towards the end of the season, there's a lot of bumps, a lot of bruises. People are hurting, but they're not injured. So we're pretty healthy right now. It's just your normal, almost into the basketball season type of stuff we're dealing with.
Your relationship with the girls is fun, and you try to tell me that your bus rides are rather calm and quiet, and then I see a video coming back from one place, and it was like a party in that bus. So you still going to try to tell me they're nice and calm and quiet?
Well, it depends on the time of the year. If school's in session, they're really quiet because people are studying. If it's like the last week was a little different because we were on the road. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We were on the road, so people weren't as worried about class at that time on Thursday night. They had a good time after the CBC victory. They made some new friends at Central Baptist. They had some sign hanging over there on their side, said, "Welcome to our lab." They all had white coats on, kind of mocking us a little bit. And the girls went over there to take a picture, in front of the sign, and they kind of made some friends, and they just kind of had a good time.
Does it make it easier when you're winning that game rather than losing that game?
Absolutely. If we would have approached it a lot different had we not played well, or if we would have lost, it would have been a different outcome after the game.
You talked about changing the culture and changing the environment. Is it where you want it right now? Is this what you wanted to create?
No, I'm not satisfied. I think that there's still certain things that we would like to do. It's just a little bit of a challenge here with the academic, courses and the class load and time commitment. We can't quite do all the stuff that we want to do. So we're still trying to make it better. We out of our 5 starters, all 5 are pharmacy majors, and so their time commitment is I don't even really know how much time they put in. I just know it's really tough on them.
How much time would you want them to put into basketball? If I don't want to say if it was a regular college, but if you were at a university that the workload wasn't what it is here, how much more time would you want to devote to basketball?
We'd want to do a lot more individual workouts, where we can get people in here to work on certain things that they're struggling at. Right now, it's tough to find that time to consistently put in individual workouts where they get better. And we'd like to spend more time watching film together. It's just hard to find that time in the day to get it done because they really stress out about their academics. And if we make them spend 2 hours watching film or doing something else on top of practice, then they're going to feel like they're falling behind in their academics. And most of our players are here not because of basketball, but they're here because they want to get a degree.
Jeff Reis, women's basketball head coach, our guest here at the half. Uh, The game that stands out to you as so far the game that you are most proud of with the girls and has impressed you the most? Is there one?
There's two. I would go with Kansas Wesleyan first game of the season. I thought we really played well. We put 96 points up on the board. We played extremely well, both ends of the floor. I thought that would be one that was really good. Actually, I have three. I thought the Columbia game was a big win. Never beat them in the history of our program. And we came out and we just played really well. And we played together, and and we got a lot of buy-in that day because Grace took a lot of shots in that game, but she got a lot of good shots, and everybody else just kept feeding her the ball, kept setting screens, but everybody else just kept defending, and that's probably the main reason why we were able to come away is our defense that night was just superb. And so those are two stick out, and then the other one surprisingly that really sticks out to me was CBC on Thursday. I thought that CBC got off to a great start. They scored 20-something points in the first quarter, but we never got rattled, and I think years past that would have really bothered us. Where they come out and they score 20 points and we try to hit home runs instead of sticking with the plan and sticking together. And I just thought we did a great job of weathering that storm that was in the first quarter to be able to come away with the victory. So those three kind of stick out for different reasons.
I'm sure the Stevens game is one that probably is on the negative side of your mind, but is that the game that you feel your girls played the worst in?
Yeah, I felt like we let it get away. We had the game. We were in a good spot going into the fourth quarter, and we just made some mental mistakes that normally we don't make on the defensive end. We spend a lot of time working on rotating. We just, for whatever reason that day, we just weren't very good. And I don't know, it's Christmas break. We can sit here and make excuses on why we didn't do what we were supposed to do. But yeah, that one kind of hurts because if we play better in the fourth quarter, we're probably sitting here 10-1 right now in a tie and not back one game. But maybe we get better because we didn't succeed in that game.
It's fun when somebody goes for 59, but the amount of points she scores, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. And every girl I've gotten in here has said, I know my role. Emily and Tori talk about how their job is defense. Like one of them said, I don't even want to score. Like they get it. Mackenzie's kind of a rebounder, play inside. She knows she's not going to take a ton of shots. And I think Elizabeth is kind of like the two to Grace. If it's not going to be Grace that's going to score, it's going to be Elizabeth to score. Do you hear much out of the rest of the group and even any of those people that like Grace shoots too much? Like, because you look at the numbers and it's easy to think that as a fan or somebody involved around the school. Do you hear that much?
I don't hear it, but so I can't tell you if it goes on or not. But a lot of times our team just wants to win. And you talk about Kinsey not shooting much. Kinsey gets 7 offensive rebounds on Saturday, right? So 14 total rebounds. Like they're doing things that sometimes go unnoticed to a normal person who just looks at the stat sheet or just looks at the game. They don't realize how important those players are. You talk about Tori not scoring well in the third quarter against Columbia. She hits 4 shots in a row, right? So they might not be looking to shoot all the time, but some of it has to do with the way teams guard us. But they're all capable of scoring. We just try to attack the best way that we can each game.
I knew you very little before I came here. First time I ever met you, you were coaching at Lutheran South. You went to Lindenwood Belleville after that. How much pressure do you put on yourself to make this program be what you want it to be and try to win a regular season conference title?
I've never done it. Lindenwood, we were in the AMC, and we were in the top 25 multiple years, and we were never able to win a conference championship. So I know it's hard to do. You got to get breaks. You got to make some shots at the end of the games to win games, and it's really tough to do. I don't really like. We set that as our goal. We want to win the conference, but I don't put any pressure on myself to say, "Hey, we got to do this." It's more like, "All right, we got Woods tonight. What can we do to win that game?" And we're always focusing on one game at a time, just trying to give us a shot at the end to have a chance.
We'll wrap it up with a thought on Grace as they will unveil a banner coming up at the halftime of the men's game for her. And there's so many accolades we could talk about, but I'll ask you this. Who puts more pressure on her, you or herself, to be as good as she is and can be?
I know that I'm hard on her. So I don't know. She wants to be successful, but I put a lot of pressure on her to be good because I know that even as good as she is, she still hasn't reached her full potential of what she's really capable of. And so we know that we can get more out of her. So we continue to push her every single day. And there's just things that we can correct as the season goes on where maybe make a better read here or see how they're guarding us better. And I don't know. I just feel like she's just capable of handling all that pressure.
Appreciate sitting in. Thanks.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Women's head coach Jeff Reis. I'm Greg Teddish. It's our At the Half segment. Back to the College Cast crew with first half stats coming up next.